Let's switch gears now and talk APC politics, right? There's disquiet within the party over some appointments made by President Bola Tinubu, which some say has not quite favored core party members. Now, one of the state organs that has spoken up is that of Rivers State. I mean, you understand Rivers politics, how very eventful it can be. So let's speak with the leader of that delegation tonight. We're joined on Politics Today by Mr. Tonye, who is the governorship candidate of the All Progressives Congress in Rivers State, joins us here in our Lagos studio. It's good to have you on the program, Mr. Cole.
Nice to see you again, Kade.
So it looks like you're not happy with the president's recent appointments, or part of your statement says, I mean, you were upset seeing some of those appointments, and you say that, well, this is not how it ought to be. And a lot of people look at the scenario playing out in Rivers State and they think maybe you were just outplayed by the bigger political heavyweights. Do you see this as you being outplayed, really?
Okay. So you have touched on about three different levels. So the first part of it is that within a political structure, you have political parties at the formation of it, of which we have APC members, die-hard core APC members, and their expectation is that when there is a government, and that government is a national government of their party, that they should be beneficiaries of that. That's the first level of it. The second level is what you call the whether one was outplayed or not outplayed, and those are two political parties dealing. The president has the prerogative at the end of the day to select whoever he wants to select at the ministerial level. Again, we don't have a problem with that. That is the president's prerogative. But the president is a party member, and being a party member is responsible for the fate of APC across board, at the national and at the state levels. And that is where we are. That's what we're talking about now. APC Rivers State is not just demanding, but also saying that they were there from 2013. They worked throughout this entire period, worked for the president, and requires that they be heard.
You worked more than the PDP in Rivers State.
Absolutely. We were campaigning all the way from, we started September, October, November, December, January, February. We were there on the campaign trail, spending money, doing everything that we had to do. Come on, we did.
Is this fairness then on the part of the president? Do you think he's not being fair to you?
Well, what I think is that when the appointments started coming out, we've had 5 appointments, national appointments. Of the 5 national appointments, what has happened is that all five of them have gone to PDP. All 5 of them have gone to PDP card-carrying members. 4 of them have gone to one local government, Obiapo, and 1 going to Ugobolo. We think that that's enough. If there is a compensation, and let's assume that there's a compensation to be made to PDP for also voting with the APC for the president, I think that's enough.
My question particularly is on fairness, which is, I mean, politicians use that expression, fairness, equity, and justice. Do you think the president has been fair to you? Do you see justice in this? Do you see equity?
I don't think the appointments up until now have been fair. And what I believe is that it's going to be balanced. And that's why we're talking about this. Because it's one thing to start and say, you know what, let me win my political enemies over. Let me bring them on board. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. That's the president's tactics to bring them over. I have no problem with that. But once it's done, there's a point to say, you know what? This is enough. Now let's start looking at those who are part of your family, those who have worked assiduously to make sure that they have kept the party alive, and begin to address them. So we expect that the next appointments coming through must go to APC faithful.
So you're still hopeful?
Definitely.
You know, politics is really a game of reward. I mean, we could talk about the governance aspect of it, but at the heart of it is, if you work for me, you get rewarded, and politicians hold that dearly. And I imagine it's on that basis which you're seeking these appointments. But speak particularly then to what the basis upon which you're making these demands, I imagine, in terms of funding. Just how much did you bring to the table for the president in terms of campaigning? Just how much did you do? Because a lot of people will then look at the opposition, or at least the main party in Rivers State, but opposition at the national level, the Rivers PDP, and say, well, the former governor did some work, and he was saying he wanted equity, fairness, and justice. He welcomed the presidential candidate at that time, now president, and he gave a lot. So would you say that you did way more? And tell us specifics.
Absolutely. First, every campaign that we did, in APC, we funded our campaign. The presidential rally
the governorship or the presidential campaign?
At present, there was a presidential rally that happened in Rivers State. That campaign was funded. We refused. We told the presidential campaign team that they did not need to bring money, that we will spend our money to that. And I know I spent my money personally on that. The party, Rivers State APC, brought money to that, and we funded that aspect of it. And that's just one of many that we did. So when we talk about equity, let's go back. The foundation of APC, on which platform the president today is president, began in Rivers State. Rivers State was one of those that started. The first rally of APC ever held was held in Port Harcourt in Rivers State. Rivers State has paid a huge price. Rivers State has paid a price in blood. Rivers State APC members have stood there on the ground since 2013, ensuring that APC had a presence in Rivers State. So when we talk about equity, we're bringing this on the table. When we talk about standing against Rivers, you called Rivers State, what was the word you said? It's very eventful. That's the word. And it is eventful, and that's a colorful way of saying it, because it can be very tough, very bloody, and very, very focused, very hot emotions when it comes to Rivers State politics.
So you've gone back in time, and there is no way you can speak about APC in Rivers State without talking about former Governor Rotimi Amici. Is he also a part of this move?
So Rotimi Amici has said one thing very, very clearly, that right now he wants to focus on law, and he's leaving us to do what we have to do. He's not saying anything. He has not come out. He has not said anything against the president. He has not said anything against anything that we have done. You have not heard one word from him. And what he has said is that we have, you ran for office under the APC. You have an APC structure that is there. You are part of APC. Do what you have to do for APC. And that's what he has said. Allow him to finish his own. We are dealing with us, he's dealing with his, and he has not said anything against any of this. And I think we have to respect that aspect of it.
So do you think the fact that he ran against the presidential aspirant at that time, Bola Tinubu, and of course didn't look like he was supporting him, in fact, a lot of people said he was supporting the opposition party, do you think that would affect your own campaign now?
I think that what happened there was that the perception of that non-support, especially when he started speaking about a Muslim ticket, and he was not happy about a Muslim ticket, that gave the opening for the PDP to get in Rivers State to say that we're standing here and we're supporting that aspect of it. Because people knew Rotimi Amici to be very, very vocal, and they expected that he would be out there, he's vocal and all of that, but he chose for this time that he is not going to be vocal. And it is that silence that people have read fully to believe that because he's silent on it, he does not support this government, he does not support the president, but he has never said so. He has not come out anywhere to say, I do not support
So you think he supports this government?
I believe that he supports a government that is fair to Nigerians, and that's what we are pushing.
Because I know that you're close to him,
That's
and
right.
of course you'll have his ears, understand his thought process and all of that. But when you talk about the people who've been appointed in Rivers State, they're sons and daughters of Rivers State, aren't they?
Absolutely. Hey, listen, sons and daughters of Rivers State, I don't have a problem with.
Are they competent?
I don't know that.
So you question their competence?
I don't know. That I haven't looked at. What I do know is this. Are you allowed to appoint people from PDP in a government? No problem with that. Again, understand the semantics. I don't have a problem if that's what's going on. What I have a problem with is that everybody that has been appointed only from one side, and there's no balance on the other side. That's one. The second aspect of it is, of the people who were appointed, 4 of them are appointed from one local government. 4 from one local government. Again, there's no balance there. And these things play a huge part in Rivers State politics. To the Nigerian looking outside, this may not seem, as far as they're concerned, it's Rivers State. The nuances of those appointments in Rivers State is where the problem is, and we need to correct that.
So I'd like to also know, did the president make any sort of promise to you? Did he make commitments to Rivers APC, particularly now, before the elections? Because we know that's how it works in politics. Okay, so this is what you will get. Did he make any of such promises or commitments?
I wouldn't say that there was a direct commitment and direct policy. What the president had said to me and said to all of us in APC is, come together, work together, stand as one, and you have the better chance of winning. And remember that this was what we started doing. Magnus Abbey stepped out, went to SDP, and that gave us, it became less cantankerous for us so that we could stay focused on what we were doing. And with that, we stayed focused. Once that happened, we stayed focused. It would have gladly pleased all of us to come together with Magnus, everybody together to fight as one. But he chose to move on, and that was okay. So for the president, I know for one thing that one point that he kept pushing is that we need to build an APC that is united, that is strong, and that can stand the test of time. And that, for me, was what we did.
You know, the president has been described as a politician of politicians. And a lot of people trace his history all the way back to when he was governor, how he's been able to build people. So if you're trying to place politicians, they say who rank at the very top. But why do you think then he would look at the APC in Rivers State, overlook you, then go to the PDP in Rivers State to pick from? Why would he make such decision if it were not a right decision to make?
Well, I wouldn't say, I don't know if it's a right or wrong decision. What I believe at the time when we were hot in the battle of politics for the president to win, there were three things that were at stake. The first aspect of it, remember, was that there was a G5. Weaken PDP. Ensure that this G5 do not go back to PDP at any point in time. That's a political calculation. And again, we have no problem with that calculation. Bring them on. Stop them from going to PDP. That's number one. Number two, Rivers State money has always been very central in politics. So if you are going to ensure that the money does not go to PDP and will come into APC, again, bring them, draw them close. Again, that's political. And I don't have a problem with that at all, if that's what's going to work. Now, what then happened was that PDP votes and APC votes came together to deliver the president. And again, that's okay. That's astute politics. And the president and I have spoken about this. We don't have a problem with the politics of that move. What do we want to do? We want to win. If it's going to mean take votes away from PDP, bring votes from APC, put all together and deliver, no problem. Now, when that is done, for one group to then say that we are the only ones that delivered, that is where I have a problem. And that is not true.
So, don't you think he values the PDP clearly more than you?
Maybe he's not being, maybe he has not heard what we have to say. And that's why we're saying what we must say. At the end of the day, there's a difference between when you're a presidential candidate, when you are the president-elect, and when you become the president. The circles around you become tighter. The access becomes more limited. Right now, we need to make sure that the voices of the people in APC at the grassroots is heard. They have paid their dues for this party, and they deserve to also be rewarded in a political system that rewards loyalty.
I hope that the people of Rivers State are being factored into all of this conversation, and it's not just politics, because for the people out there, I mean, politics can be played, but the dividends of democracy must be delivered. So talk to us about what you then want, what you're trying to bargain with the president. So do you want the president, for example, to remove the Minister of FCT or his spokesperson, who I understand is also from Rivers State? What exactly do you want? Do you want him to remove them? Or what? Are you looking at specific appointments?
Absolutely not. He's already made those appointments. We have no problem with that. Leave those appointments. Subsequent appointments coming in balance the equation. Now, balance the equation in such a way that, you mentioned it, once the dividends begin to come down, it goes down to people who are part and parcel of not just the politics, but also those who follow the politics, the people who need to be seen and heard. Rivers State must take a frontal point in issues of national government, and those who are appointed, who speak for the people, must be there. Today, we only have one part of Rivers State being spoken for. It cannot continue.
But there are those who have said that you've also been approached to drop your case at the tribunal.
No, rubbish. My case has finished. Okay.
And judgment has been reserved.
No, judgment has been reserved. Yes. So where was the case dropped?
So how do you expect that to play out? Because you're in court, obviously, against an ally of the president.
That's democracy. I have my right. I do not agree in the first instance that the governor is the governor today. And so I have taken my case to the judiciary. Now we'll wait to hear what the judiciary has to say. This has nothing to do with whether the president is my friend, not my friend, whether he's Wike's friend, not Wike's friend. This is democracy at play. We went to the polls, the results came out. One was happy, the other was not happy. That's what we have the courts for. We've gone to the courts and we battled it all the way to waiting for judgment.
It's very interesting what is playing out here. Yes. And I wonder how you're able or how you hope to navigate your way, because some say, well, you may be outplayed in this one, and they say it's evident from the appointments that we've seen, because clearly now you seem to be an enemy to the ally of the president, and naturally an enemy of your ally will be your enemy.
Okay, so think about this way. What's democracy and what's politics about? Right? Politics at the end of the day is about
interests. Or has it changed?
No, absolutely not. So it's about interest. What we're dealing with right now, for me specifically, is that my interest is in winning the gubernatorial. That doesn't make me an enemy of the president. Neither does it make me an enemy of the minister. It doesn't make me his enemy. What it just makes me is that I am I'm an opponent, a worthwhile opponent that at the end of the day is fighting for his right. And that brings respect. I would respect him for trying to outwit me. He will respect me for trying to outwit him. At the end of the day, when all the dust is settled, we'll sit down and we'll take a look at it and we'll move on.
But it looks like your interests are clashing, because I imagine the interest of the president is to reward those who worked for him. And he has shown that.
No problem.
But then you're in court hoping to take away at least one of those rewards, because we've heard the former governor of Rivers State say, well, leave Rivers for us. Let us hold on to Rivers. Let the PDP continue in Rivers. But you want to take that away.
But that's not his right. That's the right of the people. There's nobody that can give you that right. It's the people that gives the right. The right that the president has, or the right that the former minister has, is to lobby or ask for a position like the FCT minister. No problem. That's a lobby. That's the right and prerogative of the president. There's nobody who has the right or prerogative to give a state to anybody. It's the people. And if the people feel that their voices were not heard, and that an election was stolen from them, then it becomes my duty to ensure that I secure that. This has nothing to do with enmity. It has everything to do with securing justice, and that's what I'm aiming for.
So what do you expect from the tribunal?
I expect, frankly, that the tribunal should declare me winner. And why? The reason is this. The governor now, right, did not resign as accountant general. He flouted the Electoral Act, flouted the Constitution, and as a result of that, we are declaring that his election is null and void. That's a simple ground. It's a straightforward Constitutional Electoral Act ground. Now it's up to the judges to either see merit with this or not. But not in the case of, they beat somebody up, they rigged that.
But isn't that a pre-election issue?
No, it's not. It's a constitutional issue.
Because it talks about his eligibility, I imagine.
Yes, it does. But it is, and there are certain areas that go beyond pre-election. This is somebody who contested against me. And this is the time when I have a right to question that. It's the only time. If I try to question it during the pre-election, they would have thrown it out that I don't have locals. I'm not a party member. This is not my party. That's for them to decide. This is totally different. The only time when I have the right to question it is now. Is why with what the president and President Atiku, what they were, the former vice president, were trying to do. That's why he is trying to query some things which have been there. Maybe time will go out. He's in appeal trying to look for that. The only time you can question that is in the tribunal, and that's what we have done.
So what if all of your agitations, what if they fall through? What if you don't get those appointments you're seeking for the people of Rivers State, APC Rivers State? Would you be disappointed in the president?
Absolutely. I'll be very disappointed, because what that means is that nobody has cared about the sweat, the sacrifice, the money, the investment for the last 9 years, 10 years. It's not a joke.
I'd like us to touch on an issue of governance which concerns Nigerians. I mean, you You know the oil and gas industry too well, very well established in that industry. And I wonder what your take is on the current subsidy regime. Some say subsidy is actually back, or never went in the first place. For Mr. Bismarck Rawani, it's reduced subsidy. So it's still there, really. And they look at the price of crude. These are figures you are very well aware of, the price of crude, the exchange rate. In fact, they look at diesel and say diesel is going up. They look at gas as well. So what is your take on this? Do you think the president is approaching this well? And is this what we should be seeing from that sector with the policy direction of this government?
Subsidy would always be a touchy issue. When petroleum prices, crude prices are low, right, then the effect of subsidy is very minimal. You don't see it and all of that. The reason why it is crazy right now is because oil prices are inching closer and closer to 100, and so it will be a problem. Now, with all things, when you deal with issues of subsidy, it's not just the price of petrol that matters. It's not just the price of diesel that matters. There are other considerations that you must bring into play, and if you don't bring those conditions into play, you would have a problem. It's a long-term thing. It's something that must be dealt with over and over again. Did we have the means and the resources to continue to keep subsidy alive the way it was being run? Absolutely not.
But it's still alive.
So what happens right now is that every government will come to a point where they will say, hang on, what are we doing and where are we going? And I think that's where this government has come to again. At 90, heading to $100, the question is, how far do we go? Is there a cap? What do we do? But there must be a structure and mechanism that enables it to be taken off again once the price starts going back. If it's not back in, then it's the government saying that I'm willing to listen to the cries of the people and I don't want it to rise higher than this. But once the price starts coming down again, they have to take it off. But that is only the ups and downs. You have to deal with productivity. You have to deal with pressure on the dollar, which means that you have to increase exports in other areas. And if there's one area that the government must increase exports in and look at, is controlling the mining sector. We're losing too much in mining. Illegal mining is going on. People are taking hundreds of millions out of the country. That's where we should be looking at.
Final notes. In governance, communication is important. Transparency, accountability, those are core for democracy. Do you think government should then come out and say, well, this is what we're doing with subsidy? Because the government has been quiet and people are saying, we know what is happening. Why don't you come out and talk to us?
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Communication is key. They need to.
It's been a very interesting conversation with you, but we have to anchor at this time. Mr. Tonye Cole, the governorship candidate of the APC in Rivers State, thank you so much for your time. We're watching the tribunal to see what comes out of that.
Next week is the big week.
Or do you have a date now?
No, the 10th of October is when it ends.
So it terminates.
Everybody runs out of time then. So we're expecting next week that we would hear something.
All right, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Kaide.